Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense in the Super Bowl to an extent that we've never seen. Before Philadelphia went up 34-0, Patrick Mahomes averaged 3.4 yards per attempt, completed 50% of his passes, and posted a passer rating of just 18.3. The game was a disaster for Kansas City, by far the worst performance of Mahomes' career, both on paper and on tape. So today I'll explain what went wrong for Kansas City on offense and what worked for the Eagles on defense. Starting with this second down play from their first drive of the game that really set the tone for the Chiefs offense. It's 2nd and 9, and Philadelphia presents a quarters coverage look in the secondary. One key trait of zone match quarters coverage, or quads as Fangio calls it, is to split the field in half, so that the defense has a numbers advantage on both sides of the formation. So on the strong side, Philly has 4 defenders over 3 receivers, and up top, they've got 3 defenders over 2 receivers. Here, Philadelphia dropped 8 into coverage, which put an extra defender in coverage on the 2 receiver side. One way to exploit these split field coverage looks is to attack the middle of the field, and that's the intent behind Kansas City's call. The concept calls for both Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce to run inside breaking routes. Post-snap, Kelce immediately wins leverage over the dropping edge defender, getting into the soft spot in the coverage, but Mahomes leaves the ball behind him and Kelce can't hold on. That set up a 3rd and long, on which Philadelphia presented a clear man coverage look. Up at the top of your screen, Eagles safety Reed Blankenship is lined up out wide opposite Chiefs running back Samaje Perine. And when a safety lines up outside of the wide corner to cover a running back or a tight end, the defense is almost always in man coverage. Kansas City called a pick play between Travis Kelce and Hollywood Brown designed to exploit the man call. Post-snap, Kelce will release inside, forcing the defender responsible for Brown, Isaiah Rodgers, to work through traffic as Brown gets vertical on a wheel route from the number 3 spot. But the pick play doesn't generate that traffic because of Cooper DeJean's aggression at the line of scrimmage. At the snap, DeJean initiates contact on Kelce, so Kelce can't get vertical enough to cause the traffic jam that the concept is designed to create. That allows Isaiah Rodgers to work over the top of the pick and stay tight to Brown. When the pick play doesn't work, Mahomes has to check off, but by the time he can do so, pressure closes in. Notice the coordination from Philadelphia's defensive line here. All 4 rushers are trying to win with power. They build up speed before making contact, then drive the pass protectors into their own quarterback. It's not the best strategy for getting free as quickly as possible, but when it works, it condenses the pocket, which makes the quarterback extremely uncomfortable. On the first series of the following drive, Kansas City faced 3rd and 3 from their own 40-yard line and called a great short yardage concept known as mesh rail. The concept tells the back to run a rail route and both number 2 receivers to run intersecting crossing routes, unless the defense plays zone, in which case both number 2s will sit down in the open space between zone defenders. This call was specifically designed to attack Vic Fangio's zone match principles by placing Xavier Worthy, the fastest player in the world, in the backfield. Worthy's alignment got him one-on-one with a 230-pound linebacker, but Mahomes didn't have enough time in the pocket to get him the ball. Travis Kelce and Hollywood Brown both correctly recognized the zone coverage and sat their routes down over the middle, but Kelce didn't separate, and before Mahomes checked off, he was, again, under heavy pressure. A couple drives later, Kansas City made adjustments to compensate for their losses in pass protection and to attack the Eagles' defensive structure. Here, on 1st and 10, about halfway through the second quarter, Andy Reid dialed up another concept designed to attack Fangio's zone match principles. The deep over route from the number 1 receiver at the top of your screen will drag the wide corner away from the middle of the field, putting the nickel, Cooper DeJean, one-on-one with Xavier Worthy coming across the formation. To minimize the potential for the play to be wrecked by pressure from Philly's defensive line, the design calls for Mahomes to roll out right. But in order for him to be able to roll out right, Travis Kelce needs to seal the edge inside, or at the very least, stop his momentum so that Mahomes can make him miss. Watch Kelce at the snap. He's late to get out of his stance. That puts Mahomes under immediate pressure again, which gives the concept no time to develop, and the play results in a sack. Andy Reid's frustration with his team's pass protection was illustrated by his design on the second down play that followed. To take advantage of Philly's quarters coverage calls, Kansas City called mirrored hitch routes from the number 1 receivers out wide. And to ensure that Mahomes would have enough time to get the ball out, Kansas City kept 7 players in pass protection, all 5 offensive linemen along with the back and the tight end. The first read in the concept is Hollywood Brown at the bottom of your screen because he's lined up on the near hash side. With Eagles wide corner Quinyon Mitchell lined up about 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, Brown should be able to make the catch about 5 yards downfield and have a chance to make Mitchell miss for a big gain. But Vic Fangio threw a changeup. Instead of calling the quarters coverage that Philly had been living in on early downs all game, he called it quarter-half coverage, which tells Mitchell to play the flat and the weak side safety to bail into a deep half on the sideline, while the defense remains in quarters on the opposite side. That takes the route Mahomes wanted to target away. And when he sees a coverage concept he didn't expect, he panics. He has the arm strength to fit this into Xavier Worthy on the opposite side, but he hesitates, drops his eyes, and takes another sack. That brought up third down, and this is when the frustration boiled over for Mahomes. The Eagles went back into quarters, and Kansas City called a 3-level flood concept, with DeAndre Hopkins on a deep over route coming from the weak side. Post-snap, Mahomes finds a lane to his right, but he's got nothing open. Instead of just throwing it away or scrambling for a few yards, he forces it to Hopkins, and DeJean picks it off to extend Philadelphia's lead. Vic Fangio called a great game, and part of the reason why his game plan was so great was because of his emphasis on quarters coverages. But spamming quarters over and over again allowed Andy Reid to call concepts specifically designed to exploit that coverage structure. Here, for example, Kansas City is facing 3rd and 11 a couple drives after the pick six, and the defense presents another quarters look, so the Chiefs called a concept known as spear, designed to create chaos in the secondary. It calls for intersecting crossing routes from both number 1 receivers, and a deep divide route that splits the safeties from the number 2. Post-snap, one of the secondary defenders blew their assignment. It's tough to know exactly who it was without knowing the exact defensive call and the calls within the call, but either way, the coverage was blown. And Mahomes escaped the pocket to allow the concept to develop, but the throw was low and Hopkins couldn't bring it in. The Chiefs had opportunities, like this one, to get back in this game, but they consistently failed to make the Eagles defense pay for their, albeit few, mistakes. Schematically, Vic Fangio didn't do anything groundbreaking in this game. For the most part, Philadelphia sat in soft quarters coverage and just won up front over and over again, but he did throw a few key changeups. Another one of those changeups came on this first down play from late in the first half. Philly presented another quarters look, but only to disguise the quarter-half call. Instead of dropping all 4 defensive backs into zone match quarters, Philly plays quarters on the 3 receiver side up top and cover 2 on the 2 receiver side at the bottom. Kansas City called 2 separate concepts here, both ideal for attacking quarters. At the bottom, it's a simple stick concept between Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce, and up top, it's a cross-dig concept between Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. Post-snap, the cover 2 call to the weak side takes the stick concept away completely, but Mahomes is quick to check off in favor of Hollywood Brown's crossing route coming from the backside. There is a huge window here that would have set up a massive gain if Chiefs left tackle Joe Thuney didn't get walked right into Mahomes as he wound up to throw. The hit caused an inaccurate pass that was picked off by Zach Bond covering the middle hook, and the Eagles would score 2 plays later to go up 24-0. By the time the deficit reached 24 points, the Chiefs couldn't lean on the run game much to dig themselves out of such a massive hole. But when they tried to establish the run early on, they were simply out-executed. Here, for example, Kansas City called a split zone run, which tells the offensive line to zone block toward the left side of your screen, and the tight end to kick out the backside edge defender against the flow of the offensive line. Post-snap, as Travis Kelce works across the formation, he collides with the back, which kills any chance of a successful run. The Chiefs were shooting themselves in the foot all night, and Philadelphia made them pay for those constant missed assignments. On the first play from scrimmage after Cooper DeJean's pick 6, Andy Reid tried to dial up some misdirection with a GT counter call. But post-snap, the left guard gets blown up at the point of attack, and the run goes for a loss of 2 yards. Blowouts in this league are usually caused by one of 2 things, either a massive disparity in talent or coaching malpractice. This one was a result of the former. Philadelphia's staff was clearly better prepared for this game, but no amount of sound coaching adjustments could have balanced the talent scale in this matchup. Steve Spagnuolo's sorcery disguised some glaring flaws with this Chiefs team in 2024. They simply are not the offensive powerhouse they were a couple years ago, and until they address the issues on the offensive line, things will only get worse. Philadelphia, on the other hand, is loaded with defensive playmakers on rookie deals. As long as they stay healthy, the Eagles are going to be a problem again in 2025.